and we are back again with another video about essay writing. Now, the topics that you can see on your screen, they are also one of the most frequently asked essays in your IELTS exams. Okay, this is like the question over here, as you can see. Let me just switch it to the marker mode. Okay, this question right here. Okay, to what extent? This is to what extent? This is the variety that is most frequently asked in the IELTS exams, and majority of the students, they mistake this type of question with another type of question, which is, okay, do you agree or disagree? Now, the first question that I must ask you guys is, do you think the essay type, that is this one, do you agree or disagree, and the essay type, to what extent do you agree, do you think both of them are same? No, they are not same. Okay, there is a very minute difference in the way that you will write your body paragraphs for both these variety of questions. Okay, so let's look at this one first. Do you agree or disagree? So when you have this sort of a question, all you're supposed to do is straight away mention your single unified opinion, as in whether you agree or whether you disagree. Okay, but when you come across this sort of a question, that is, to what extent do you agree or disagree, what can you do? You are supposed, okay, let me explain this with an example. So if I make this absolute statement, okay, I'm going to write that statement: social media is very bad for students. Okay, this is the statement that I have written. Let me ask you this question: do you agree or do you disagree with this statement? Now, there will be students who will have a blanket agreement. They will say, yes, social media is totally bad for students. And there will be people who will have a blanket disagreement. They will say, no, social media is not very bad for students. But what about people who want to give a diplomatic answer? Meaning, they would say that as long as social media is used to stay in touch with their friends, to maintain relationship and cultivate new friendships, it is good. But if students start misusing them, if students don't use it in a way that they should use it, and if they overuse it, that waste a lot of time on it, then it becomes very bad. Okay, so you see what I did? I figured out a point where my agreement transitions to disagreement. Okay, so I will agree up to the point that yes, until social media is being used to cultivate friendships, to make new relationships, to stay in touch with your near and dear ones, it is good. But the moment you start overusing it, my agreement will turn into disagreement. So up until this point, up until this extent, I am agreeing. After this extent, I start disagreeing. So that is the point of transition that you need to figure out in these sort of questions. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Okay. Now here you can see there is a reason why I have taken two questions, two essay types over here. Okay. Let's look at the second one first. Okay, this is the second question. Let's read the second question first. Education should be accessible to people of all economic backgrounds. All levels of education from primary school to tertiary education should be free. Okay. To what extent do you agree with this opinion? The question is same. To what extent? Okay, so you need to figure out a point of transition where your agreement will transition to disagreement. Okay, so let us see. But the question over here in itself, it gives you 2 points. That is, this is opinion number 1. Education should be accessible to people of all economic backgrounds. Okay, then there is a transition to another point of view. This is the second point of view. All levels of education from primary school to tertiary education should be free. Okay, so these are 2 points of view, and this is the transition. Okay, so let's say now here there are 3 possibilities. Okay, you either agree with both. Okay, you should say yes, education, I agree that education should be accessible to people of all economic backgrounds, and I also agree that all levels of education from primary school to tertiary education should be free. Okay, either you disagree with both. Okay, this is the second possibility. And third, agree with one and you disagree with one. Okay, so these are the 3 possibilities that you can choose. All right, now let's come to the first essay. Okay, the first essay was the death penalty is the best way to control and reduce serious crime. Okay, now there is only one point of view given over here, but the question still remains the same. To what extent do you agree? How do I get this out? Yep. Okay, the second one is the death penalty is the best way to control and reduce serious crime. Here in the second essay, you were already given with 2 opinions, so the transition was clear that up until this point I will agree, and after that point with the second opinion I can choose to agree, disagree or whatever. But in the first essay, the death penalty is the best way to control and reduce serious crime. That is the only opinion that is given to you, and you are asked the same question: to what extent do you agree with this opinion? So how, in this question, how will you figure out your point of transition from agreement to disagreement? Okay, here you will have to figure out that transition on your own. Keep in mind, when you're writing your essay, they do not expect you to write an expert level PhD thesis kind of an essay. Okay, they want you to write down your own thoughts. Okay, the whole point of writing down an essay is communication, not to display or flex your intellectual abilities, your lexical resource, your vocabulary and all that. Okay, the primary focus of your essay must be communication and not flexing or showcasing. Okay, so here I can say that yes, death penalty, I agree that death penalty is necessary for serious crimes. However, for all the crimes, death penalty is not necessary. So you see, the transition, I made it on my own. Okay, only if it is a serious crime, death penalty is important. The moment they are smaller crimes such as theft and all those things, other punishments are sufficient and necessary to control and regulate crimes. So I figured out that point of transition. So you have to figure out that point of extent from where your agreement will change into disagreement, or your agreement will stay agreement, or your disagreement will change to agreement. Okay, so whenever you get this sort of a question, there are 3 possibilities over here. Agree with both, you can either disagree with both, or you can agree with one and disagree with the other one. Okay, now it takes some time getting used to it. What I usually see students doing is, even in this sort of question, they will write it as this one: do you agree or disagree? Okay, if they have good grasp over the language, they will still end up scoring 6.5, and they will say, oh, see, my essay writing is pretty good. But in this type of essay, if you want to score higher bands, you need to follow this pattern. Okay, so I think we'll write the first one. Okay, the second one I simply just used to display that this sort of a question can come either ways. Okay, the second one becomes easy. You can take a screenshot of this video or of this screen and practice it. Okay, so we are going to write the first one. Okay, so let me just get this out of the way. I'm going to erase the other ones. All right. Okay. So like I've mentioned in all my other videos as well, the first thing that you do is to plan and plot your points. You do not straight away start writing. It is extremely important for you to plan before you write. Do not straight away start writing. Okay, so I can see there are some keywords in the topic. Number one is death penalty. Death penalty, everyone knows. Hanging. Some countries they hang people. Some countries they give them lethal injections. That's such as United States. Some countries stone them to death. Okay, so that is death penalty. Is the best way to control and reduce crime. Now, to what extent? First of all, I need to clarify that extent. Okay, that extent for me is, okay, serious crimes. Okay, so here are my conditions under which I agree that yes, death penalty is the best way to control and reduce serious crime when it is crime of very rare nature, damage is maximum, or war crimes. Keep in mind you have to do this. Okay, do not skip this point of planning your points. If you do it, you will not get good bands in CNC, that is coherence and cohesion. Okay, everyone will improve their lexical resource. Everyone will improve their grammatical range and accuracy. A lot of people also work on their which one was it, task achievement. Okay, 250 words and relevance, but not a lot of students work on their CNC. So if you want to improve your overall score, you must focus on CNC. Okay, disagreement. My disagreement starts with this when, okay, it says to what extent, कौन सी हद तक आप इससे सहमत हैं. तो इस हद तक मैं सहमत हूँ जब तक वो क्राइम कोई सीरियस ना हो, जब तक उसका डैमेज बहुत ज़्यादा हो और वॉर क्राइम हो, तब तक डेथ पेनल्टी इज़ अ गुड ऑप्शन. बट इफ़ I will disagree with this statement if it is a petty crime such as theft, robbery. Okay, so something where damage is not too high. Okay, damage, how do I damage is damage to environment. Okay, and in both these body paragraphs you can mention examples. Okay, so now that we have planned this essay, in the next video we will start writing the introduction paragraph for this essay.